All right. Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I can't believe we're already halfway through May. That's wild to me. But I hope you're all having a wonderful day wherever you're calling in from. Let me know in the chat where you're talking to me from. Hello, hello. Haley, thank you for asking. I am doing great today. I'm in a super good mood. I just had a really exciting meeting with my agents. They've been my agents for, I don't know, like 9 years at this point almost. And it was really fun to get to chat with them about what this next year is going to look like. And you guys know me, I love to do shows, so it was really exciting. All right, we got people from Missouri, we got people from New York, from Texas, from Oregon, Florida, well, all over the place, Pennsylvania. You guys, thanks for being here. Connecticut, woohoo! Represent. Well, I'm very excited today because I have a guest. I always love it when I have a guest that I get to just learn from and listen to, and I don't have to do all the talking. I get to just kind of sit back and have good conversation. So I'm going to go ahead and invite her in. Our guest today is GAYLE, and I'm so excited to chat with her because we actually have some mutual friends, and I've heard wonderful things about her. And not only does she just seem like a great person, but she's incredibly talented. She had one of the most viral songs of, the last several years last year. She has proven that she's an amazing performer. She's performed with all kinds of artists, toured with artists that are just on my bucket list to work with. So I'm just so excited to pick her brain and talk to her. So I'm going to bring GAYLE into the conversation right now. All right. So, I see everybody's very excited in the chat as well. So this is going to be great. How you doing, GAYLE?
Hi, hello. Can you hear me?
I can. You're crystal clear. You sound great.
Okay, perfect. Amazing. How are you doing?
Well, thank you for asking. I'm doing lovely. I'm currently in LA. The sun is shining. It's like a beautiful day. What about you? Where are you calling from and how you doing?
I am currently in a random parking lot because here's the thing. I was coming from the city of like New York, and then we were driving to Boston, and it's about normally like a 3-hour drive, and then I made it more like a 6-hour drive, and then I randomly decided to go to the beach and I ended up not getting to my hotel in time to do this interview in my hotel. So I'm currently in some random parking lot next to Dunkin' Donuts on my way to Boston.
Oh my gosh. Well, I hope you grab a donut. It's funny that you say that because I was driving back. I had a meeting this afternoon. The meeting definitely went longer than it was supposed to. And then traffic. I always underestimate afternoon traffic in LA. Oh my gosh, I literally almost pulled over because I was like, will I make it through the canyon to my house? And then anyways, I was like, nope, we're gonna trust that we're gonna make it. But I barely made it home. So anyways, I almost ended up in my car too.
Oh my gosh, I'm glad that we're both not in parking lots. At least it's one of us. But I knew what I was doing when I decided to go to the beach for no reason. But it was pretty nice. Nice.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's always a reason to go to the beach, isn't there?
Traffic and with touring, like you don't really get to go to the beach a lot, and so it's just nice to stop by for a little bit.
Yeah. Have you been touring a ton this year?
It's last year was such a crazy year for me. I don't think I was home longer than 3 weeks at a time. So I would say yes, I have been touring quite a bit this year, but it honestly isn't as much as it was last year.
Yeah, I feel like, okay, I want to get back to touring in a second, but I just want to talk about I feel like you probably just went through a complete flip of a switch and your life changed. Like that's how it looked from the outside. Was that how it was for you when A, B, C, D, E, F, U took off? Was it like a moment and everything was different, or was it like a more slow experience on your side?
I would say probably in the span of I feel like specifically from December of 2021 to March of the next year was a pretty formative time in my career and my life. And I definitely feel like my life's changed a lot. And I think more than anything, my perspective on what I wanted out of life and in my career changed a lot, because I think I fully realized what having any type of success in music felt like. And I realized that as it brought me joy, there are still other things in my life that you have to deal with. And I think when you go into music, I started singing at 7, I started going to Nashville at 10, and I think I thought music was going to make my life, make all of my problems go away. Like one day if I just like make it, then everything will be fine. And then I realized like, wow, like for me personally, like quote unquote, making it isn't just one song, and making it for me is like being happy and being able to do music with my life. And so I think I was able to actually like feel like what all of that felt like. And it kind of changed my perspective of what I wanted out of life. And I just started going to therapy and started growing up more. I was 17 and I'm about to turn 19 now. And I think that just also is a very formative time in your life.
Oh my gosh. Yes, it is. Oh my gosh. It definitely is. And, you know, so would you say that it was kind of the experience of you started to really reach some of these huge dreams and you saw success, and, you know, you had one of the biggest songs of the last decade, you know, just like happen through your social media. And so would you say that it was this experience of kind of realizing like, oh, that didn't actually change everything about me? Like that didn't change what I need to be happy. Like I still, like, would you say that it was kind of that, a bit of that experience?
One thing I appreciate about the process of ABC is at one point this song had about 4-5 million streams, and then a month later it had 105 million streams. And so the incline of the song was pretty quick. And I think part of that quickness helped me because I didn't feel any different. It was all in a span of a month, and I think it was hard. Like I feel like maybe if it happened slowly over time, it could maybe possibly have more of a possibility of like changing me. But I think because it happened so quickly, it also made me realize like, oh yeah, I do feel like the same person. I don't feel like anything's different about me. But I do think for me, you know, like when you get attention, you realize how at times it's a double-edged sword. And then when you have a song that at this point in less than 2 years, it's about to hit 1 billion streams, which is like insane. Oh, and, you know, like with that attention comes negativity. And I think I realized what it felt like to have attention and feel the double-edged sword and have a lot of like privilege and positivity in my life, but still battle negativity and criticism at the same time. And I think it was a really, really great lesson that I've learned. And I think it's, you know, it's also why I go to therapy too, but I think it also helped me grow a lot as a person and with the music that I made, because I never made music with the possibility, you know, I've always thought like, I thought about my friends listening to it and I was like, oh my God, like what if my friends don't like this song? But now it's a little bit different, you know? And I've never made music with that perspective before of like, there's a possibility that thousands of people could possibly hear this and create an opinion on it. And I have to do what I want because I have to like it at the end of the day. So that was an interesting new thing with making music that's been in my life that I definitely was not there before ABC. But I like it. I think it's fun. It's fun to be constantly changing the way you make music and your perspective on it.
Yeah. Well, and I think, I mean, gosh, I forget sometimes that like, you know, a lot of the people I still consider like my peers in the music industry, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so young. And, you know, the valuable lessons that you've just like shared with us that you've already learned at the age of 19 or that you learned when you were 17, like it's crazy. Like, I feel like it took me into my mid-20s to realize like that answer of, oh my gosh, like we all think those things of I'll be happy when, like, oh my gosh, I'd be happy if I could just have, you know, a viral song or, you know, more money or this or that or be prettier or whatever those outside things are that we all like really think, oh, that's when I know I will have made it, or that's when I'll be happy. But to like experience something so vast happening so quickly to your career, your life, like all the eyeballs on you, and then realize like, nope, I'm still the same person. Actually, like nothing changed. I've got to figure out myself and figure out how to, you know, change those parts of me, because I'll be happy when never actually works. You have to come from inside. Anyways, so I just think it's really cool what you just shared with us and all that you learned in the span of that time before you were even 20 years old.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody in the music industry, like, you know, like to make music is one thing, but then to stay in music is another. And I think you always have to really understand why you're in music and what your fulfillment is out of it. Because I think if you don't have that, it can kind of get a little blurry, because making music in the entertainment industry is just so intense, you know?
I would love for you to dive a little deeper on that, because I feel like if I wasn't in music, I wouldn't, you know, I know exactly what you're talking about, but if I wasn't in this industry, I might be like, wait, what do you mean? What's the difference? Like, what's the big discrepancy between, you know, making music or being in music and then, like you said, staying in music? How would you differentiate those?
You know, I think, oh gosh, there's so much. I think I moved to Nashville when I was 10, and I had absolutely no clue what I was doing. And I was just going to random bars in Nashville, singing in writers' rounds and asking people that were singing 4-hour sets if they wanted a bathroom break and if I could sing a couple songs. And I think not knowing anything and then always constantly trying to learn more. And I think a lot of the music industry is collaboration and finding people to collaborate with, and then trying your best to understand any business side of music. And I think as an artist, social media is a really big part of it as well, because I just like making music. Like, I was just 7 wanting to sing, and then I heard you can be a better performer if you write songs. You'd be a better artist and singer if you wrote songs, so I did that. And then you'd be a better performer if you could play guitar. And especially in Nashville with the writers' rounds, I just started learning guitar. And I think also music is just a lot harder than I think people think it is. It was not as hard as I thought it. Like, it was a lot harder than I thought it was when I started getting into it.
Yeah.
But then to stay in it, I think for me, I just loved creating things, and I've been doing it for so long, and it's such a big part of my life. And I truly feel like music has saved my life. I'd be so lost without it. It gave me such a purpose of something to do with my life and my emotions. But it's just intense, you know, even touring, like, it's so funny. One thing that also really makes me feel like how I've changed a little bit as a person is, like, before I put out ABC, when I was like 15, when the pandemic started, so I was just terrified. Like, I had no clue if live music was going to be happening again. I was in high school. I never thought, I was like, great, like, now I'm never gonna make it. How am I supposed to make it if we're all just stuck in our houses? Is the music industry going to be staying stagnant? Like, what is happening? I hadn't been to Ohio, and then I was so fortunate as the world was opening up to have ABC. And I don't think I ever sat and thought about touring. I knew musicians toured, but I just never thought about the act of going on tour. And so when I had ABC and the world was opening up, I had all these beautiful opportunities, and I said yes to all of them. And then I actually did them, and I was like, this is hard. It's hard also to do the things you want and take care of yourself, because I don't think people can always acknowledge how hard it can be to just keep a base level of keeping up with yourself. Like, even just taking showers and brushing your hair and keeping up with your mental health and genuinely taking care of yourself can be a hard thing. And then also working towards your career at the same time. Those can be hard to manage. And while doing that, while traveling on tour, that was definitely a process for me. And I think I was I know I was really, really lucky to have people that cared about me and my mental health and never pushed me to do anything that I couldn't do or that I didn't want to do. But I think just the entertainment industry is so much more than just music. You know, it's about connections and writing songs and trying to understand the business, and also just trying to make peers and trying to move up in the industry and stay a good person and also take care of yourself. It's managing so many things at once. And I think it is hard to understand until you actually go and try and do it, and then do it for years and years and years. You know, I haven't even technically been alive that long / been in the music industry for that long. And I also think ABC really changed my perspective on the music industry and what it was, because if I were 10, I'd be like, I'm in the music industry. But in reality, I was just on Broadway thinking that was the music industry, you know?
Yeah. No, it is interesting. Like you said, it's such a consuming world when you're in entertainment and music, and there's never enough. You always have to, there's always more that could be done. And especially, I think one of the really hard things nowadays is that we have all the tools in front of us. So it's hard to sometimes take that moment to say, I need time. I need to take care of myself, because you're like, oh my gosh, there's always more to be done on social media. There's always another song that could be written. The next one could be the one, so it's you really have to end your own workday on your own terms. You have to decide that it's time to stop, you know, because there's an endless need, there's an endless vacuum. And, you know, and it really is like, okay, this is a marathon. This is not a sprint. But you know, I guess social media has, you know, obviously been a huge part of your career. Like, have you always been very intrigued by social media? Like, were you always, is this something you feel like you're naturally good at? Is the kind of marketing side, or the, you know, the TikToks and the Instagrams, like, how does that play into your career?
I feel like I'm terrible at social media. I
Really?
truly, like, when I was 7, I heard Aretha Franklin sing, and I was just like, I want to be Aretha Franklin. And that's all I wanted. And then I found Julie Michaels and Alanis Morissette, and I was like, wow, I want to be a songwriter, and I want to play rock music. And I would never, ever, ever try and compare my music to the godliness of those women. But that's just what I wanted to do. Like, I just wanted to sing music and perform. And then eventually, as I started moving up and started making my way up in the music industry, I kind of connected the dots pretty quickly that you either have to get with the times or fall behind. And social media was becoming a really, really big part of just marketing your music. And for me, it's really uncomfortable to like stand in front of a phone and try and like talk and convey my personality, just because I think it's unnatural for anybody to really try and do. But I'm really passionate about my music. And one thing I appreciate about social media is never, ever, ever, ever has anybody in the entertainment industry have had free access to people. That has never happened, ever. And so, and especially like at times, like you can just have a proof of concept. Like, you can just go out there and post the same thing every day, and the day it works, you can be like, see, I have proof that this works, and I don't need anybody else to like help this thing be achieved and happen. And I saw social media as like a tool of my own power and access to people. So all I had to do is like just keep putting out my music into that world and into that ether till I can like get somebody's attention to just make them interested enough into listening to my music. So I don't feel very natural at it, but I do feel like it is a part of the industry, and I am grateful for the access and freedom that it gives me. But it is also something I struggle with, because I really just want to write songs and sing music, and I honestly wish that's what I could just do. But I think, you know, it's just the way it is. And also, like, it really is lovely to connect with people that genuinely care and you care about them. Like, nothing is better than that. And I think live shows have the ability for that to happen, but it also is really nice that in a comment section or in DMs that you can personally connect with somebody that cares about you and you care about them. And I don't think many people have had that in the music industry, especially in the past like 20, 30 years. I don't think anybody's really been able to have that except for now, you know?
Absolutely. No, it really is. You know, and it's like at the end of the day, that's why we all, you know, we make music because we love it, of course, but it's like also so much of it is that ability to like have a connection with someone over like the music that I like to listen to, or the music I like to write, or the music I like to perform. It's like, you know, so it is cool that, like you said, social media is like just an extension of like, you know, it gets such a bad rap sometimes, and it can be seen as such a toxic tool, but it's like at the end of the day, we get to use it to just further connect, you know, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and I feel like every person like could be frustrated at some points where it's like, I just want to sing and not do these things, but it really, really is like such a privilege to have access to, because nobody has been able to do this in the industry ever until now, which is really, really exciting.
Right. No, for sure. You also talked a little bit about, you know, live performing, and I've heard you're an incredible live performer. I have not gotten to see you live yet. But I know that when you performed here in LA, I'm pretty sure that someone from my management company went, and she said it was amazing. And you've also opened up for like an incredible roster of like very different and like iconic artists. I mean, some Taylor Swift, My Chemical Romance. You've performed at Lollapalooza. You've also worked with AJR, Tate McRae, and you're joining Pink on the road this summer. Okay, so first of all, that's a really cool list of names. But like, oh my gosh, how exciting! And is there any one of these amazing artists that was particularly exciting for you?
Taylor Swift. I mean, like, you know, wow.
That's amazing.
It's so crazy when you like say it all in a sentence. Like, you know, if anybody were to ask me my genre, I would really love to say I would love to be able to open up for My Chemical Romance and Taylor Swift. Like,
Oh my
that
gosh, wow.
genre-wise is the in-between I would love to live in, and it's very exciting to me that that is something that I've been able to do with the genre that I'm in, because it's like pop music inspired by alternative elements. And for me personally, like most of the tours like have happened in pretty normal industry ways that you kind of get a tour is like people are looking out asking if they want anybody to open up, and you just kind of submit, and it's all kind of through an email, or you just kind of have to hope that they will want you. And with Taylor, I had no clue she was going on tour. I knew she was putting out Midnights, but I just didn't think, I mean, I hope that she'd be going on tour, but I would never think of me going on tour with her. It's still so ridiculous. Like it's so wild even when I talk about it, because it feels like it's fake, or that I'm lying, or that I'm making this up. But I was at the NSAI Awards, and she saw me play, and she was winning artist/writer of the decade, as she should. And even when I met her, I just was very thankful that I got to meet a woman who has absolutely changed the game for songwriters, but also for young women in Nashville, because she really proved and proved that you can make it, and really inspired young women. I genuinely don't think my mother would have moved me to Nashville if she didn't see a young woman being able to move up in the industry in her own way and be successful. My best friend has been writing songs since I was 12 and she was 15. I don't think her mother would have moved her to Nashville. I don't know if Sarah would have wanted to move to Nashville if we didn't see Taylor Swift do it, and do it so beautifully. I was really grateful to just meet a person who's really impacted my life and just my surroundings, and is such an icon in my industry, and just specifically where I've like grown up in the music industry and made my way up. And then for her to just ask me if I open up for people, and to, you know, like in that moment, out of a genuine conversation, for that to put me on this tour. One, it's just the most like genuine, kindest things anybody in the industry really in that position has done for me ever. And I'm also just so aware of the fact that she just so didn't have to do that. I mean, it's the freaking Eras tour. Like, anybody would want to be on that tour. And she just saw this girl play a song and was just like, let's just put her on. And that means the world to me. And it also is something that I don't take lightly whatsoever. I wasn't particularly prepared to be a stadium playing act this year, but I have done everything in my possible power to be able to keep up with this opportunity. And then, you know, also getting the Pink tour on top of the Taylor tour. It's both full like stadium tours. It just means the absolute world to me, especially that such icons that I grew up with just being the biggest pop stars in the world. When I was 4, I thought Taylor Swift and Pink were the biggest pop stars in the whole entire world. So then to be 18, almost 19, touring with them is like just absolutely mind-blowing. But even going on tour with Tay McRae, like, you know, she's my age, and I have such a high respect for her fan base and everybody that loves her. And the first time I ever played ABC truly after it had been successful in any way was on the Tate tour. And it was the first time I had somebody like sing that full song back to me that had never happened before. And that's a moment I will always cherish. And I was so new. I was such a baby to touring, and I just had me and my guitar, and I just played 20 minutes. And that was such an innocent time for me. And I was still so new to touring. It was my first time ever playing theaters. And with AJR, like, that was my second tour after Tate, and it was my first tour on a bus. It was my first time playing amphitheaters and arenas, and I've had the backstage tour tattoos and the messiest like food touring. Like, it was just the rowdiest, messiest, most fun time of my life. And also I was just like so new, and I still feel so new, but last year was such a quick education with my touring, because the tours I was so lucky to do, I was able to play theaters to amphitheaters to arenas to fields to stadiums. So it's just every act I've been so grateful for, and it all means something to me in different ways. But I would say Taylor is just the most unexpected thing in my life, and I'm just so grateful for that opportunity. Like, and I love her. Like, she's so kind to me. It's really truly incredible.
That's amazing. So how did you prepare for these kind of shows? Like you said, an arena tour, you know, like a stadium tour. That's like, you know, that's a huge opportunity. So were you terrified by the opportunity, or what did you do to prepare yourself so you wouldn't be terrified for the opportunity?
Oh my gosh, I wish. Oh my God, that week of rehearsals, I just so nauseous, so anxious. Like I was so grateful, but I also was just absolutely terrified. I didn't want to let her down. I didn't, you know, like I just wanted to be the best that I could. And it's also hard for me personally. It's hard for me to believe that, like, oh, I can play a stadium like that. Like, you know, like it's hard to be like, oh yeah, I can open up for Taylor Swift. Yeah. No, I can do that. Like it was hard for me to like admit to have the confidence to be able to do that. And for me personally, something that I did that just made my life a little harder, but I am glad that I did it, is that I have 2 different sets. So I have an A set and a B set. So I was just truly being a pain, just being like, oh no, not only do I want to have 1 set, I want to completely remake a 2nd set. Because my set was also 20 minutes. I was another pain and decided to put 8 songs in a 20-minute set and then also change the songs. So I wasn't the nicest person to myself or my bandmates when creating this set, but I am really happy with what we created, because we ended up kind of making this mashup of my last 2 EPs, plus with some unreleased songs and some songs that I put out on the tour. So it was very nerve-wracking. And I also had to practice. Like, I'd never been on a stage that big before, and it was my first time having a guitar tech. And so we had to practice running to each other, because I played bass and guitar on this tour. And we weren't prepared for how long the stage was, so we had to practice a lot of running with each other. And I ramble. I know you can't tell, but I ramble and I just talk a lot, and I lose my concentration, and I'll just talk about anything. And so I almost had to practice talking slower, because it's so echoey and so big, and there's so many people, and I just kind of had to be better about concising what I'm saying to get to my point, just because I always talk around the point and never really get there, or I'll repeat it 5 million times. And for me personally, my big thing right now is trying my best not to cry. I cried about like 3 times. I'm over it. No more tears. I don't want the tears. But every time I'm just staring at a stadium, and I'm just like, how is this my life? How is this happening to me? And there's also a point in my set where I roughly like to plan out what I'm going to say, but every time I just kind of like to make it up and just speak from my heart. And it's in the middle of ABC, and I just thank people for listening to the song and adding it to their playlist and watching the music video. And as I'm saying that, I'm looking at these people, and I'm thinking about the fact that I'm playing a stadium, opening up for Taylor Swift, and then I just start to cry, because I'm like, wow, like, due to other human beings just liking my song, they completely changed my life. Like, me at 16 would have never been able to do this, and now I'm here because of other people. Like, that's insane. That's crazy. Like, people I don't know changed my life. And like, I don't even always get to show them how grateful I am. Like, I don't think I will ever be able to fully communicate everything that has done for me. And I just cry every time, but I'm going to stop. I believe in myself to stop. I'm going to get better at it.
No, I personally don't think there's anything wrong with showing your gratitude and showing that it still affects you. I think the ability to still be affected when great things keep happening, because, you know, we so quickly get attuned to like whatever, you know, the meter of our life is. And if it's really hard, you're going to get used to that. And if it's really great, sadly, we very quickly get used to it being really great. But the ability to still be affected by the good things and not be just like blasé about it, I think that's a beautiful thing. And I don't think there's anything wrong with showing a little bit of emotion to your people as you thank them. I don't think you should feel like you have to stop crying. I think that's nice.
I see, it's not even like I don't have anything wrong with crying, because I do think it's important to cry. I just saw a video of me, and I just in the middle of the day, just like randomly at like 6 p.m. crying, and I was like, all right, I just need to get a little bit better, like just be a little less dramatic. But I try. I don't want to like. I'm not gonna like suppress my emotions either. You know, if I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna cry. But
Yeah.
I just think it's funny.
Well,
I think it's great.
it was really. It's beautiful to listen to you talk about your gratitude to the people who changed your life, and not to forget all that, not to ever take it for granted is a really special thing. So I love that. And are there any pre-show rituals or things you do to get ready for a specific show or for tour?
Can I curse? Is that allowed? That's part of
sure. You can.
I just want to ask.
Go for it.
My bandmates and I, before we go on, we've been doing this since we've just been touring together. We start really quiet and we just say 1, 2, 3, fuck. And then we just get on top of, like, we just scream it louder and louder and louder on top of our lungs till we're screaming it backstage. And we always do that 3 minutes before we go on stage. Recently, because of the stadiums, like, it's just such a new type, it's like a new nervousness. We've been trying out box breathing, where we like breathe in for 3 seconds, hold it for 3 seconds, and breathe out for 3 seconds, and that's been helpful for all of us. Tour tattoos are a thing in my band. It's at times even like a competition of who's going to get the most tour tats. Every once in a while my drummer brings a tattoo gun on tour, so we just kind of do stupid shit. I'm trying to think if there's anything else really. If the boys get peanut butter pretzels, they lose their minds. I've never seen somebody be so grateful for pretzels in the middle of a tour before in my life. That, and then I think one time they got apple juice, and I think the drummer teared up a little bit. He was emotional about it. So we just get very excited about food and tour tattoos on tour. And we watch lots of movies and lots of Postmates. Lots and lots of Postmates.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's funny the things that become so special when you're on the road and when you're in a different city every day, just these little normalcies that kind of become like a staple that you're like, oh my gosh, I need this. And it makes me so happy when I get these like very small little things. It's like, oh my gosh, it's all about the little stuff is kind of what you realize when you're living out of suitcase every day, you know?
I once almost like cried because there was a microwave in our hotel room. I have never been so grateful to, like, there's just no microwave in hotels rooms, and then you get Postmates, and then your food's cold, and you're just eating cold food for like a few weeks, and then you get a microwave, and it's like, wow, this changed my life. Or I remember I went home from touring, and I used a blender and just like made a smoothie, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like, I was like, this is so stupid. Or one time on tour, I lost my hairbrush, and I didn't have the time to just like buy a new hairbrush, so I wore ponytails for like a week straight. It was pretty bad. My hair got pretty matted. It wasn't my greatest moment.
You practically had grown by the end of the week.
A bedhead for sure.
That's so funny. So you've also done a lot of festivals. Do you approach doing a festival set differently than a normal show, or is it pretty much kind of the same way you approach it?
Yeah, I mean, with Taylor, especially the Taylor shows and the shows I've been doing, when I'm an opener, I'm very, very aware of the fact that they're not particularly like my fans. Like, they could like my music, but like, let's be honest, nobody's like going to Taylor Swift just to see me. And so I don't always like ask things of people at those shows. Like, I just am there if you want to pay attention, if you want to care, if you want to get invested, I'm here. But I'm here as your introduction to try and like hype you up and build energy for the show, even though this has been such a long build up for these shows and everybody's pretty excited. When it comes to festivals, that's where I'm more like asking the crowd to clap and cheer and sing along for things and just trying to be a little bit more rowdy. And there's times when I'm playing for family-friendly shows, I just kind of just kind of smooth some things over because I'm aware that young children are going to shows and I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. But when you're at some festivals, you know, there's just like less likely for like an 8-year-old to be around. So the songs that I would sing, it's, you know, even for Taylor, I just changed some lyrics. And even like, I have this one song called Alex, and one of the lines is listening to Lorde sitting in the backseat, and it's like Lorde as in like the artist Lorde. But for the Taylor shows, I've replaced it for a new Taylor album every night. And I I wouldn't be doing that unless I was like on her tour, you know. Like there's little things that I try and do as an ode to her. And like even with Pink, I hope to do that. But with festivals, it's just a little bit more like rowdy, and I just, you know, like because it's less put in like a family friendly show, I just censor a little bit less, and I definitely play more into like the alternative senses that I have when it comes to my live performance, and just more like moshing and just asking more of the crowd and participation and just being a little bit more.
You are an alternative girl, getting the fans to mosh. That's fun. Also, you recently worked with Kelly Clarkson on her song Me. How did that collaboration all come about?
Oh my gosh. So random. Like I was 15 and my friend Josh Ronan and we were writing a lot of songs for Pitch, and I went over to his house on a Sunday morning to record a song, and it was so funny. This song, it was like, I don't even remember, but it cursed a lot. It was like about a breakup or something. And I remember he was like, hey, do you want to like write anything? Like we can like try. And I remember being like, oh, it's like Sunday and like morning, like I'm a little tired, but like, okay, like, yeah, you know what, we should be good writers. Like we should try and write for Pitch. And I was looking through my email, and I like randomly saw like Kelly Clarkson's name. I don't know what it was, but I just saw her and I was like, we should try and write a song for Kelly Clarkson. Like we should do that. And he was like, okay, but like, how would we even get Kelly Clarkson to hear her song? And I was just like, I don't care. Let's just write a song for Kelly Clarkson. And my mom was in the middle of going through a divorce, and I kind of knew, I think Kelly was kind of talking about getting more public about that. And for me, my mother's divorce was a very empowering thing for her, because I think there's just a lot of things that got taken away from her that she was able to give back to herself after that. And I think it was really important for me at 13 and 14 for me to see my mom leave somebody that didn't treat her properly and somebody that was mean to her. And I think it was a good thing for me to see my mother stand up for herself. And she just beautifully like blossomed as a woman, and it was really cool to grow up and to see that. And so I wanted to write a song about divorce that's empowering and kind of like standing up for yourself. And I remember when my mom got divorced, she like shaved half of her head, and she looked so cool. She looks like she could be riding a motorcycle at any point in her life. And I just wanted to write a song about my mom and kind of for my mom. And we wrote this little half song, and I just was like, you know what? Like, if she likes it, maybe one day she can like finish the song. Because I only wrote half of the song. It was like a verse pre-chorus. And then somehow, like, eventually over my time, and, you know, once ABC started getting better, I was like, I don't know how, but I feel like more than ever I could get a song to Kelly Clarkson. Like, I had no idea. She ended up hearing it, and she ended up writing to it. And there's some things that she did that I really loved what she did with the song. Like, originally, one of the lines was like, I'm put together, not broken. And she changed the line to be, I put together my broken. And like, she did some really, really cool things with the song. And so it's like just a little song that I wrote on a Sunday morning with one of my friends when I was like 15.
Wow.
It was on hold for a couple years. I don't even know if it was on, I don't even know at one point when she took it. Like, I don't know at one point when she heard it and did it. It just like, I knew I like wrote that song, and then it stayed on my notes for a really long time. And then I was trying my best to get it to her. And then at some point I heard that she cut it. And now I'm here.
Wow.
My best friend, my friend and I freaked out when she cut it, when it came out. We literally, like, we've only texted in each other in capital letters. It's our big joke now. Because we're like, I can only scream at you for the rest of the
year. Yeah. That's so cool. And, you know, I do love it when moments from our past catch up to us. Like, I'm a big believer in like manifesting and putting things out there into the universe and asking for the big wishes that you want in your life. I really believe that if you have the courage to ask and then move towards it with everything you've got, that eventually a lot of those things will find you way later than expected. Like you wrote the song when you were 15 and then it got cut years later. You know, but I don't know. I always love it when I see little signs in my life of like, oh my gosh, this thing that just happened. I wished for that when I was a teenager, or I wished for that the first album I wrote, and it didn't happen on that album, but then it happened 4 albums later, you know? So it's always really exciting when that happens. And what a cool full circle moment for you.
It was wild, and plus, you know, being in Nashville, I really, really care about songwriting. It's been something it's a craft of mine that I've been trying to develop for a really long time. And for one of the first things to build my career as a songwriter is the Kelly Clarkson song. Like, that's just ridiculous to me. It makes me smile very hard as I'm even talking. Like, it's just blows my mind.
Oh, I love it. So speaking of writing music, I would love to hear more about the concept of your EP that you released. It's called A Study of the Human Experience. So can you tell us about that theme?
Yes. So there's A Study of the Human Experience, Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 2.5, because I'm a crazy person. I've been writing songs for the project GAYLE roughly since I was 14. And the first EP, some of those songs are kind of honoring the songs that I wanted to put out when I was younger. And I wrote Kiddie Pool kind of around the same time as I wrote Me. Like, I wrote Z and Kiddie Pool when I was 15. And Z was something that was really exciting for me because I wrote it about Gen Z. It was just kind of a joke about, you know, like, I saw a lot of jokes on Twitter about Gen Z, and I felt like it'd be funny to take on those stereotypes and just be them and be obnoxiously open and accepting about being all of those stereotypes, as I feel like Gen Z kind of is. And then I got some of my favorite artists that I've just been obsessed with for a really long time, Upsall and Blue Tiger, to jump on it, and it was so exciting. And the second EP was songs that I mainly wrote when I was 17. You know, I went to LA for the first time after ABC and was starting to work with new writers, and it's when I wrote Indie Edgy Cool and Snow Angels, but also the second EP, when it was kind of, I was able to get more vulnerable, and I was talking about my struggle with religion, because I've had people in my life that I just thought were the most innocent, sweet people pass away, and it just never made sense to me. And I've just had people do horrendous things to me in my life before, and it just made me struggle with humanity and people and the world and the way it worked. And, you know, I had another song, 15, that's just about a very personal experience that I had that I was finally able to open up about. And a lot of the first 2 EPs just talks about my life and the mistakes that I've made and the things that I've learned and the things that I'm going to keep learning, and observations. What is observing? Observation. Wow, I'm so dumb. I'm a genius. The observations that I've just made with my life as I've been growing up, and it's just kind of literally a study of the human experience. And also, I really love collaboration, and I think something that's so beautiful that writers bring into the world is their experience, and it's also their study of the human experience. And Volume 2.5 was me taking the first 2 EPs and just making some alternate versions of the first 2 EPs, because, you know, as a teenager, everything you do a week ago is dumb to you now, you know. So there's a few songs that I was like, oh, I want to make them different now because I'm older and I've toured and yeah, you know. And so I made that version, and it's just kind of capturing a moment of time of the things that I've learned in my life and the things I'm going to keep learning, and talks about a lot of positive things in my life that have happened and a lot of negative things, and it sometimes even contradicts itself and talks about the good and the bad and just all the experiences and that I've had in my life.
No, that's so cool. And what about, can you tell us about the inspiration behind 2 of your songs? At first, I'd love to hear about Don't Call Me Pretty, and then I'd love for you to talk about Everybody Hates Me.
So Everybody Hates Me, I wrote that song last year, and it was at a time where people can sometimes struggle with young, up-and-coming, successful women, and people really get off on telling young women that they're not special, and people were being overly critical, and people love to feel like their opinion is fact. And I noticed that I was almost making music for people who didn't like me to prove them wrong. So if they like called me stupid, or if they called me basic or whatever that stuck with me and rung a chord, I would try and write music to prove them wrong. And then I would like, and that never really sets you up for success, because you're making music for somebody who doesn't like you, and then they're just still not going to like you. Like, you, there's nothing you can really do to make somebody who doesn't like you, especially like people truly don't know me well enough as a person at times to really truly not like me, you know. And I think my coping mechanism when I felt so overconsumed with negativity at times was to make it empowering. Because I was like, you know what? If everybody hates me, I might as well like myself. If everybody hates me, I might as well not care, and let this be an empowering thing, and let this be strength for me. And I don't feel that way anymore, but I think in that moment of time, I really needed that. And when going on the Taylor tour, I love Reputation. I love the attitude of that album. It's like just the core of my being, like one of my favorite like attitudes of an album. And one, I just felt inspired by that era. And I think when going into this tour, it's like, hate me or don't, it's getting old. I don't care anymore. And that's just kind of where I'm at. So I think at that time it was like a major like coping mechanism, and very like anxiously doing all of it. And now I've gotten a lot more loose and forgiving with even just with myself. But I think it was a good way to start the year and start this new sound of mine and like my new project that I'm working towards.
That's beautiful. And, you know, I definitely feel like as an artist, you have to remind yourself, I do at least all the time, that like, Lindsey, not everybody is, you know, I don't like everybody's music. Okay. So that doesn't mean that, of course, everyone isn't going to like mine. And, you know, if they want to hate on me, it's not personal. And, you know, but it's like I really have to talk myself through that. It's not like it's a natural thing. And, you know, and I like how you said that at the time you needed like that kind of an aggressive message in a song, to kind of get you through those emotions. And it's like, yeah, different things serve us differently in different phases of life. And, you know, that song served a purpose for you then, and now it can mean something different for you and for your fans now. But I want to play that song. And then I also, you know, I want to play Don't Call Me Pretty right after this. But before I let you go, and because I feel like I should let you finish your drive home so you can leave the parking lot. Please get a donut in behalf of me.
Well, yes.
But before I let you go, is there anything else that you want to share with us? Anything I haven't touched on, or anything you're excited about?
Oh gosh, I guess maybe like a quick little rundown on Don't Call Me Pretty. I see this, you know, I feel like as a music creator, you kind of see other songs, like you can write one song and then you write another one. You're like, wow, like that's a little sister of a song that I didn't even know I was going to write. Or like, wow, I didn't realize I just wrote an older sister of a song. And I see Don't Call Me Pretty as like the final I mean, I hope it's the final one. Who knows? Maybe I'll just talk about this forever. It's like the final big sister of Sleeping With My Friends and You're Just Horny. And for me, Sleeping With My Friends is a song on my first EP. And it's just about like, I crossed a line in a friendship and I was sad and I blamed myself and I internalized a lot of it. And then You're Just Horny, I was just like blindly angry because I came to the conclusion that like, you treated me differently after we crossed that line and you've never seen me the same, which probably means you just wanted something from me this whole entire time. And then I ended up going to this person, was like, you've made me angry. This is the way that you've made me feel. And they're like, I'm sorry. And they kind of manipulated me into like feeling bad about the way that I felt. And I just was dramatic and I made it into this thing. And then we had this friendship again and he just still wouldn't stop calling me pretty. And it wasn't even the fact that he called me pretty. I don't mind people calling me pretty, obviously, like call me pretty, but it's just that he couldn't see me as anything else. And I think even in a lot of times, I think as a woman, like people validate you and your beauty and at times nothing else. The amount of times I've just heard people like, well, at least you're lucky you're pretty. And it just makes, for me personally, it just made me feel so useless and like frustrated. And there's times I literally have just like wish that I could just like rip off my face. Like, I don't want to be that to you. It's not a fucking compliment all the time. And also, like, as a girl, having your guy friends want to sleep with you isn't always a compliment. It can feel very objectifying and it's not always romantic. And I think for me, it was trying my best to like eloquently explain how this person was like only seeing me as one thing, and that was also part of my frustrating. Because it's like not mad that you're calling me pretty. It's just that I can't be anything else to you, and you can't not just see me as that. And I felt like also other people in my life have been in friendships at the end of that friendship, they've felt objectified, and I was trying my best to like capture that feeling of being like sad and frustrated and hurt when you feel objectified by somebody that you're close to, or even just not, where it just triggers a lot of like intense emotions. So I think
absolutely. I love that.
Yep. But that's really like all the things. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Maybe at some point I'll do a show of my own and not always be opening up for people. But also, like, I'm going to open up for Taylor Swift and Pink for the rest of my life. I'm down. That's fine. It's fine. But maybe I'll do my own show.
You know what? That's a great statement. It's like, if you're opening up for someone, at least you're opening up for like the biggest, baddest bosses in this industry. Like, that is so cool. And of course you will have your own show, and all of this is building towards it. And I think it's really cool just to hear your story and see that, I don't know, I think my favorite thing is when you see it from a distance, it's easy to think that, oh wow, that person just blew up overnight. It's always how it looks on the outside. But then you dig deeper and you realize, no, this person's been working at it and trying to write songs and sing since they were 7, and so no one blows up overnight. Everything takes work. And, the success that you're having now is a true testament, not to one song blowing up, but to a career that you're making with your EPs and with a lifelong effort of working on yourself and your art. And anyways, I just appreciate your time and for being on here with me and chatting with me. And we're now going to listen to some of your songs, but please drive safe. And it was delightful to meet you.
It was so nice to meet you. I appreciate you so much. And I hope to see you in person one day. It'll happen.
One day. We will, for sure. All right. Take care, GAYLE. And yes, drive safe. Have a good night.
Appreciate you, my love. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye. Let's see. Oh, she was lovely. That was such a nice conversation. I love everything that she shared with us. I feel so uplifted, and I am really excited to listen to some of these songs. I cannot believe that ABCDEFU has, what did she say? Almost 1 billion streams. That's incredible. So, okay, she just talked about Don't Call Me Pretty. I love the message of the song. I love, because it is so true that I think any of us, not only women, but we all become objectified sometimes. And I loved, one of the very first AMP interviews I did was with the creators of the book More Than a Body. And I loved it when they talked about anytime you're finding value from your looks, whether it's devaluing yourself because of your looks, or whether you are finding value and, esteem because you are pretty or handsome or whatever it is, or strong, or whatever the case is, anytime you're turning to that to feel good about yourself, even if it is in that moment making you feel good, you are still entering into a system that you cannot win, because there will always be someone prettier. And also, who's to say that in a week you won't be unhappy with your waistline, or you won't be unhappy with your hair, or whatever it is, and so it's like, if you get built up by being pretty, even if it's said, like she said, everybody's like, it's a good thing that, people think you're beautiful. Well, it's very nice. It's complimentary. But if that becomes what people, give you as your, your worth, that's when that you are in a system that will never win. So I liked what she shared about it. I'm excited to listen to it. This is Don't Call Me Pretty. Ooh, so good. I love it. I love the message. It was making me feel all like powered up as I was listening to it. Okay, this next one is Everybody Hates Me. I actually haven't heard this one yet. I'd heard Don't Call Me Pretty. And no, maybe I have heard it. You know how sometimes all it takes is hearing the chorus and you're like, oh my gosh, I do know this song. But yeah, Everybody Hates Me. Here we go. Let's take a listen. Alrighty, well, thank you guys for joining me for my radio show today. I hope you have a good rest of your week. It's hump day, so wherever you're at, no matter how crazy your week has been or how great it's been, you're halfway through, so there's half left to enjoy or half left to endure. I hope it's the latter, or no, I hope it's the previous. But anyways, I'll see you guys next week. I think I'm chatting with Colby Calais next week, so that will be awesome. Can't wait. Love her so much. Love my conversation with GAYLE, and love all of you. Again, thank you for spending some of your time with me. I know your time is valuable, and I also know there's no shortage of things you could do with your Wednesday evening. Like, you guys could be watching a movie. You could be out with friends. You could be, you know, hanging with your dog. Maybe you're doing all of it at the same time. I don't know. But anyways, I appreciate that you chose to make me and GAYLE a part of your evening tonight, and I hope you enjoy the rest of it.